is what do you expect from P and Kingsley?
I think the guys going to battle, We got all across the offensive line that want to make a statement about who they are. They didn't end the season last year the way they wanted.
I forgot to record an intro. Let's talk some football.
Seem like the whole city go against me. Every time I'm in the street, I hear yak, yak, yak.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to the new house, to the new recording space. We're battling the late afternoon shadows here in the Linden Hills neighborhood in southwest Minneapolis. I'm Isaac Janes. I'm your commissioner, have been your commissioner, and hopefully will always be your commissioner. Welcome to Season 5 of the Midwest Fucking Losers, a.k.a. the MFL. We're back like we never left, and this season brings a lot of optimism and excitement because the house has returned once again. God bless. Season 5, the first round number, I guess you might say, of this journey that we find ourselves on. And still through 5 seasons, all 12 teams are still the original 12. No one's left. We've brought in some new secondary owners, but it's still the same 12. Things have changed in 5 years. We have division realignment that we'll talk about. But we're just kind of ready to run it back. Once again, we are kind of in the swing of things. The draft is done. All that's left to do is kick your feet up and watch some football. But first, watch an hour of your favorite specific fantasy football league preview show. That is what we're about to do today. So we're going to get through a little bit of housekeeping. And of course, as you know, we'll go through all 12 teams and I'll give you my way too early predictions. We'll see how things shake out. I think the general state of the league, and you'll hear this from me as we go along, 11 out of 12 teams have a shot this year. There's just some with a couple more holes than others. So the power rankings, you don't have to read too hard into them. I mean, you really shouldn't because I'm not getting paid for this, still am not. But I do put a little bit of work into it. So you can read into it just a little bit. Not a whole ton. I'm watching you. Just a little bit. All right, let's talk some housekeeping. Let's do the off-season changes. Things that have happened since Elliott Newman defeated Hunter Lewis to bring the belt to Denver, Colorado. Brandin Cook's Water Crust Head, your reigning champions. It has been a long 7 months since then. I mean, it was January, so it's been like 8 or 9 actually. It's been a while, but we are back. So what's happened since then? There's only been, there's been a couple trades. We had one that happened right at the end of the playoffs last year that gave Lucas the number 1 overall pick and sent DK Metcalf and Trevor Lawrence over to the Washington football team, to Andrew Schumacher. Then we had one a couple of weeks before the draft, just a very small thing that didn't actually end up mattering too much. Water, the champions, received a second-round pick from the St. Thomas Disciples for Tank Dell and Jonathan Brooks. Neither of those players were actually kept by the Disciples, and I believe Tank Dell is actually back on Water's injured reserve. So that pick turned into Dylan Sampson. So it's Dylan Sampson for nothing, really. So that's how it goes sometimes. She ran out of keepers. It is what it is. There are 3 rebrands to talk about, 2 that are confirmed and 1 that I think is confirmed. I wasn't ready for it. The first one starts with me. We are in a new house, so I figured with the Marcy Holmes Millers not really succeeding in the first 4 seasons, and then also I don't live in Marcy Holmes anymore, it was time to change. We do live on the back half, or the back side, I guess, the west side of Bede-Makaska and Lake Harriet, so the Marcy Holmes Millers, it's only right that they're the Linden Hills Lakers at this point. And once I did that, I think Gavin saw the same thing. He does not live in Mason City anymore. He lives in Albert Lea. So the Mason City MCs are no more. Welcome into the Albert Lea Admirals. He has also cut loose Tommy Greco from his secondary ownership. Tommy, best of luck in the great beyond. But Chris Wilson is back. Chris Wilson, an official owner in the MFL. He's back in Iowa City. Welcome back to the Midwest, Chris Wilson. Huge news. Then the Boomtown Bradshaws, Mr. Graham Sparks, upon selection of Mr. Matthew Golden, has changed his team name. I don't know if it's permanent, but he did even change the acronym for his team. So I'm assuming that this is a long-term thing. I love Golden Showers. Shawers? Shawers? It's not showers. It's Shawers. swap-ers, I think. We're going to try our best with that as the season goes along. But those are all small potatoes compared to the big thing that's about to hit this year. Division realignment. There will be new rivalries and a new schedule to boot. You'll see that a lot of our typical rivalries week 1 have been pushed to different spots in our schedule because, again, it's just the natural growth of things. 2 teams leave Metro, 2 teams leave Outstate, and they swap. Ryan Beery has been in Kansas City for a while and is actually not in Kansas City anymore. He's out in Chicago, so shout out Ryan Beery. But he hasn't been in Minneapolis since really season 1 or season 2, so it was long overdue for him to move to Outstate. And the St. Thomas Disciples, Isaac Schumacher, has been in Mankato, or the Mankato area, more Madison Lake specifically. He's been there for just about a year at this point. We just kind of figured this out a little bit too late to implement last season, but we knew that Pilsner and the Disciples would go over to Outstate this year, and that is what's happened. The swap occurs with Lucas, who lives in this house right now in Linden Hills, so he's coming to Metro, and Rob goes to school in St. Paul. So welcome to the Metro Division, boys. The Gentleman's Classic rivalry is an all-Metro Division affair now as opposed to Outstate. So there's your swap. Pilsner and the Disciples to Outstate, Bo, Nur, and McBride over to Metro. We can take a look at the draft results from 2025. Everything kind of went as you'd expect. We heard Ashton Genty was going to be the number 1 overall pick just about the entire offseason once Lucas made that trade from Andrew, and that was what was done. Ashton Genty, number 1 overall. I thought about moving some things around at number 2, but in the end, it was Travis Hunter. We're going to take the shot and see if he becomes a cheat code, like he only could in a league that allows individual defensive players. Rest of the first round: Omarion Hampton to Dylan, Travion Henderson to Andrew. Pretty good consolation instead of picking number 1 overall. RJ Harvey, a little bit of a reach from Graham at 5, but still should be solid in that Denver backfield. Tet McMillan falls to 6, and Rob and Matt Raymond. I think that's a really good pickup for them. Pilsner gets Emeka Egbuka. I kind of thought Cam Ward was penciled in there, but Pilsner could make one of the steals of the draft there at 7. Tyler Warren, replacing Travis Kelce potentially in a couple of years here for the St. Thomas Disciples. I get Caleb Johnson with Kev's pick at 9. Andrew gets Cam Scadaboo with Gavin's pick at 10. Graham gets Matthew Golden with Hunter's pick at 11. And then Elliott rounds out round 1 by getting QB1 Cam Ward. That may be actually the steal of the draft right there. I think some other notable names: Colston Loveland at 13 to Lucas. He just keeps filling up the war chest with these young guys. Quinshawn Judkins to 15 with Dylan, but still is not signed with the Browns, so we'll see if he even plays this year. Kevin makes his first pick, and it's auto draft, and it's Jaden Higgins. I think that's the guy that is going to break out this year just because he's on the Hams. We had the trade in the 3rd round. I got Jalen Milrow, and Andrew got Shedeur Sanders and my 3rd round pick next year. So we're just swapping quarterbacks there in the 3rd round. And then a bunch of flyers. I think Graham had a good one with Isaac Tesla at 29 overall. Tyler Schuff getting picked at 31 by Pilsner. Woody Marks at 35 for Hunter. These are just some late round flyers. We'll see how it goes. But that is the Season 5 draft done and dusted in the books. Are there any rule changes this year? No, not really. We're just kind of running it back from last year. Just the schedule's a little bit different. Also, we do have the updated prices for free agency. I'll put those on the screen right now. In this past offseason, everyone did decide to sign their free agents to 3-year deals, as they should have. But next year, we will have a couple of big free agents, with Bijan Robinson leading the way. His base price is going to be $56. So if Lucas wants to sign him, that will be a massive jack up for his salary cap. And there's some other Lucas signed players that will be due for a raise as well. Jahmyr Gibbs will be big for Pilsner at $40. and Devon Achane for the Disciples at 23. So it's really Robinson, Gibbs, Achane, the three big running backs that will be the most expensive players coming out of this draft class, or the free agency class. I do have a spreadsheet with all of the free agent players. I'm keeping track of those ADPs readily available. The link has been in the chat. I'll try and put that back in the chat and the Discord if anyone needs it, because eventually you will, and I'll come calling when it's time for you to re-sign your free agents. I think that's it in terms of housekeeping. So we can go into some of the predictions that ESPN has made. I did a little predictor round right after the draft ended just to see how we're going to shake out for this year. ESPN, it's readily available on their website, and I will put the totals up right here. The number in the number in parentheses is your percentage likelihood of making the playoffs per ESPN. So at number 1, it's the reigning champions, no shocker. Elliott Newman and Brandin Cooks-Water at number 1 with 68% playoff odds. Pilsner second at 64, Boner third at 62, the Hams fourth 61. Disciples and the Brain Damage round out the top 6 playoff slots. You'll notice that ESPN really does think there's a top 5 here. Shoe in 5th at 59% playoff odds, then it drops all the way off to Dylan at 49. So there is a clear top 5 in ESPN's mind, but 6 teams do have to make the playoffs. So Dylan at 49% is 6th, Hunter at 48% is 7th, the Lakers and the Admirals tied for 8th with 44%, McBride at 39, the Shawers at 36, and the football team bringing up the rear at 25. And I think for me, that is a pretty good indicator of where everyone's at. I did do the predictor rankings just based off of ESPN's projections. So again, we're relying a lot on ESPN. This is not on the eye test. This is not including any injuries or anything like that. Like, we still have yet to play a down of NFL football as of the recording of this video. So everything goes with a grain of salt, of course. We're just here to kind of chat shit to start. But the predictor rankings are as follows. Water, again, the number 1 overall seed going into the season. Boner second for me. Average Joe's at 3. ESPN's got them at 7. I have them all the way up at 3. The Brain Damage at 4. Pilsner falls to 5. Disciples 6. Ham 7. Admirals 8. Lakers 9. Shawers 10. McBride 11. And the football team in 12th. What we're going to do here, we're going to now go team by team, and I'll give you some projections of projected win totals potentially. But we will go by the ESPN playoff odds. We'll go on those rankings and not on the predictors. So we're going to start in 12th, work ourselves all the way up to 1, and then I will give you my season predictions from there. But we will start with the Washington football team. Andrew Schumacher. Dude, you gotta start doing these punishments, man. Bringing up the rear here, I believe it's his 2nd straight season down here in 12th. It is Andrew Schumacher's Washington football team. And man, 25% playoff odds for this team, I think, is a bit overselling it. But he has improved the roster. I think the football team are going to be better this year than they were last year. We'll take a look at the roster right here. Patrick Mahomes, the leader of this team since day 1, is still around here for season 5 in a football team uniform. The running back room is completely revamped with 2 rookies leading the way here. Travion Henderson and Cam Scattaboo, his 2 first-round picks. The wide receiver room looks a little bit better with the addition of DK Metcalf. Jerry Jeudy also had a second-half turnaround in 2024. So again, like, you look down this roster, it's much improved from where we were in about October of 2024. Pat Freiermuth, the new tight end, replacing Mark Andrews, who was let go he just didn't get kept. The OP, I guess I'm gonna call him the super flex. The super flex. The second quarterback here on this team. What am I doing? It's week 0 for everyone, right? Is between Trevor Lawrence and Matthew Stafford. Trevor Lawrence, new addition coming over from Lucas's team. Matthew Stafford coming over in the Tyreek Hill trade with Gavin last year. So Andrew does have options there at the super flex. We'll see who sticks more, Trevor Lawrence or Matthew Stafford. Your 2 flexes look to be Rashad Bateman and Tank Bigsby. The second running back in Jacksonville, who might be the third when Bashul Tootin gets going. And Rashad Bateman, I think he's wide receiver 1. No, he couldn't be. Zay Flowers, what am I talking about? He's wide receiver 2 in a good offense, but they run a ton. So Not a lot of volume there. That's where the football team is going to lose a little bit of their stride, is in the depth here. So, I mean, it is better. The starting lineup is much better. One injury, though, and you're just done. I don't think that this team has a lot of the depth to make an actual run. They will be a spoiler. They will be a spoiler this year. I would not be shocked if the football team's good weeks decide what other teams make and miss the playoffs. If you catch Andrew on a good day or a bad day. Just depends on how that goes, and you might even make the playoffs or miss it depending on which one you get. I would also encourage more trades. I mean, we see what happened with one trade with the number 1 overall pick. You still got Travion Henderson and got 2 players to help the starting lineup. So with 3 quarterbacks, why not make a move? Do something. It'd be good. It would behoove Andrew to keep making some moves. And also cut a lot of those defensive players and don't have 2 kickers on your roster. But I don't have to tell you that. You know that. This guy's made 2 finals. He gets it. Football team's in the middle of a rebuild. They'll be back. My projected wins, could they go 0-28? Yes, they could. Will they? Probably not. I got them for about 4 or 5 wins this year. The projected win meter's between like 0 and 8. If they got to double-digit wins and went like 10 and 18, it'd be cool for them, but I would be pretty shocked if that were to be the case. That's Andrew Schumacher at 12. Now we move to teams that have a shot at the playoffs. If you're past this point, you could totally be in the top 6, and I wouldn't think it to be too crazy. In 11th this year, the artist formerly known at this point as the Boomtown Bradshaws, Graham Sparks. Good to see you, brother, a couple weeks ago. Very cool to have him in person in attendance for the draft. Also his first Green Top show. Check that box. That was pretty dope. I love Golden Shawers. Just get that through your head. Keep that moving. Keep that moving. We're going to work on that throughout the season. But they're back. They are back, just like everyone else. Baker Mayfield and Jordan Love are the 2 quarterbacks here. The running back room is I think, why this team is 11th. R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins. They're both on the same team. And there's not a lot behind them. So, like, one of them should be good, but I don't imagine this running back room with the same firepower as one like David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs over in Detroit. There's going to be one guy that's going to be fantasy relevant, but then there's going to be a second guy, and you're not going to be able to figure it out. So that'll be tough. The wide receivers, though, Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Matthew Golden, pretty solid. Hey, we're not talking about him yet. There he goes. There he goes. Okay, wait. Such is life near the stairs. You'll get used to that here in 2025 and 2026. The wide receivers, though, are still great here. Garrett Wilson and Mike Evans are a very solid 1-2. I like Mike Evans being consistent. Garrett Wilson, not as consistent. The quarterback play has been there for him, but he will have some big breakout games. George Kittle, the tight end, always a plus. And then your flexes are Matthew Golden, Evan Ingram, and then Tucker Kraft is also here. The 3 tight end setup with the Shawers is going to be pretty fun to watch, I think. Jerome Ford's also here. So at least in the early season, he will be good. But with Quinshon Judkins' return kind of muddy, we don't know necessarily how valuable Jerome Ford will be as the season goes on. So I guess right away he could be all right. And we've seen that from the Shawers, the Bradshaws, the Schefters, the team with many names at this point. They will adapt. They will overcome. But we've also seen that the ceiling for this team is pretty low. So I think they're shading just on a little bit on the wrong side of 500, but I also think their win scenario, I guess like their projections will be pretty narrow. They're not going to be too much below 500. They're not going to be too much above 500. They will be around in week 13, 14, because Graham is going to keep them in the conversation for a wild card berth. He's a 3-time Bledsoe Award winner. This guy makes moves. He's going to make his team much better at the end of the season than they are at the beginning of the season, unless it doesn't really work out, and then you might see him tear this down for spare parts. We'll see how it goes. He's had 1 year of kind of rebuilding and having multiple first-round picks. That's how he's got Matthew Golden on this team. If he breaks out, it could be good. But yeah, I don't really see this team winning more than like 15, 16 games. That would make them probably a wild card team. I could also see them winning as few as 10. So 10 to 16 is kind of my range, which would put you right at about, if we're taking the middle, it's a projection of like 13 to 15, 14 and 14, just right there, right where this team has always been, kind of right down the middle. So 11th in the power rankings, because you don't have the high ceiling as some other teams do, but I think the floor is high. Floor high, ceiling low is the way this team goes. In 10th, perhaps the most baffling move of the offseason, from You May Kiss McBride, a team that has had a new name every year of the season, but now with ESPN's new fantasy app overhaul, you can't get new pictures in. It's kind of bullshit. So Trey McBride, now the permanent mascot for Robert Schmidt and Matt Raymond. But yes, they did make one of the more confusing moves of the season to me by not keeping Brock Purdy. And everything else this team did in the offseason was pretty solid. I mean, they had a really great free agency draft, and they made one of the better picks of the rookie draft to really add to the depth of this roster. But now there's a QB-sized hole in their super flex, and Brock Purdy was not that expensive. They could keep him. This team is like the cheapest team in the league. Like the whole team combined costs like $50, but then Brock Purdy, there he goes. I don't really know why that would be the case, but we'll go through the roster regardless. And this is still a team that could totally go on a run. We've seen teams work with one quarterback before. It's just rare. So this is the way that Rob and Matt have decided to go do this thing. So let's take a look at how they've constructed this roster. Lamar Jackson, I mean, if you're going to have one quarterback, that might as well be the guy. He is the lone quarterback on this roster that is going to be starting. Kenneth Walker and Aaron Jones, your running backs. Your top two, I guess, projected in points. I think Isaiah Pacheco's in the RB2 slot right now, but Aaron Jones projected more points. That is the big win in free agency for Rob and Matt, picking up Aaron Jones. Kenneth Walker, you hope he stays healthy. Isaiah Pacheco, same thing. They've dealt with injuries in the past, but a little bit more depth in that running back room is nice. God, the wide receivers are young, they're fast, they're exciting. Xavier Worthy in his second year, Tet McMillan as a rookie, Jaden Reed in his third season, and Zay Flowers, I think, in his third season as well. None of these guys over the age of 25 years old. So very, very interesting stuff with McBride. They have a young core and they're ready to go. There's just not two quarterbacks. The tight end, also Trey McBride, a plus guy at a key position. So I'm confused as to why they wouldn't keep Brock Purdy, because you're clearing up a starting roster spot for a guy like Jaden Reed, for a guy like Jordan Addison when he comes back from the suspension, for a guy like Nick Chubb potentially. I don't get why you wouldn't keep him, but I guess there is a little bit of depth here to make it worthwhile. They do need to get a little bit lucky until Jordan Addison comes back. A couple of vintage, 2024 early season performances from Jaden Reed would be nice. But yeah, it's like there's just a hole here that doesn't need to be. Just a hole that doesn't need to exist. And I'm unsure as to why it's there. So the projected win total, I mean, it could go south. It could go south right away. There's some young guys that all signs point to them being big pieces in the offense. But a couple injuries and you're losing out on depth. So I see them going as low as like 9-10, but this team could also get up to like the 16-17 win range. So again, the midpoint here is about 500. And that'll be the case for a lot of teams. Just we'll see where the ceiling is and where the floor is. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. We'll take a breath and we'll run back the next three. Number 9 is a bit surprising to me. Remember, these are ESPN's standing projections. They're not mine. But ESPN is saying the artist formerly known as the Mason City MCs, currently known as the Albert Lea Admirals, are projected to finish 9th and have just a 44% chance of making the playoffs. Gavin Sparks and Chris Wilson. Last year, they were the Outstate Division champion. They ended the season with like a 12-game win streak. Or I guess 6-week win streak, you know what I mean, at this point. They had one of the best rosters in the entire league after about the first month. They made a big trade for Tyreek Hill and Kyron Williams. Both those guys still here. But what is causing ESPN to think that this team is going to not just miss the playoffs, but miss by a wide margin? And I think it's the fall off of their wide receivers. We'll get down to them. We'll talk about the entire offensive roster here. Jaden Daniels is QB1, of course, Rookie of the Year, and a big steal in the rookie draft last year for him, because he also got Josh Jacobs out of that, who continues to be one of the better players in the league and might be the highest fantasy scoring player on the Admirals this season. He's kind of projected to be that. Kyron Williams is your RB2, is ridiculous. So Jacobs and Williams in your running back room is very nice. Paired with Jaden Daniels, that's a solid top 3. So where's the problem? The problem comes later, from here on out. Because you say the names Tyreek Hill and George Pickens, well, that seems pretty solid. Tyreek Hill, a year or two ago, was the number 1 pick in fantasy football, and now he's fallen to about the wide receiver 15. It's crazy what a couple of years will do to a speedy man who's getting a little bit old. The Miami offense has kind of fallen off. Hill still is a talented player, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him overperform his projections. They might be underselling him a little bit this year. That's what happens. Tyreek Hill, Gavin paid wide receiver 1 price, and right now ESPN is projecting that you're not getting wide receiver 1 output from him. George Pickens, 24 years old, has looked great in Pittsburgh, but the deal is he's behind CeeDee Lamb now. He has been traded to Dallas, and probably still good. He'll still get his fair share of targets in a high-powered offense. They'll likely be throwing the ball a lot. Pickens now just the second option. He won't be getting as many targets. He'll still get the ball, but he won't get the ball as much because CeeDee Lamb's going to be eating into that target share. So still a very good talent, but both these top wide receivers for the Admirals just kind of did this in the offseason in terms of value. Tight end David Njoku is he's a guy. He puts up some good totals. He'll give you top 10 numbers. He's a valid starting fantasy tight end. Your super flex is Daniel Jones. He'll do something. He'll do something for sure. And Gavin does have Anthony Richardson as the backup. Crazy how Anthony Richardson's career has just kind of gone downhill before it even got the chance to get going. But he is still here, so Gavin will have the Indy quarterback kind of whatever happens. And your flexes, again, they're getting a little bit older, so they're losing value. Cooper Kupp, now in Seattle as probably the wide receiver 2 behind JSN. Again, Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp last year. If you had that pair in the preseason, you'd have the best wide receiver tandem in the league. Crazy what 12 months will do. Now it's Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp. You're like, kind of want better out of that. The NFL is a crazy, crazy league that changes so fast, especially with guys that are getting closer to 30, like me and a lot of y'all watching you. David Montgomery as well. Younger, but also the running back too. Touchdown dependent. We'll see if that continues to be the case. I think it's a good roster. I just think it's not as good as it was last year. And something that I see, not as just the commissioner, but as a team owner in this league who's done something very similar to Gavin, I see Gavin walking the timeline that the Millers walked a couple years ago. The all-in push, trading first-round picks, going and getting this loaded roster, not caring about the future. If it doesn't work out in the playoffs, that window closes way sooner than you could ever imagine, and then you're left holding the bag and have to rebuild for 2-3 years. I don't think the Admirals are in the same position as the Millers were, say, 2 years ago. I do think Gavin has a little bit more in the war chest to help him out, and the running backs are still fine. So I think he'll be okay in that department. It won't go so bad. I don't think they'll finish 9th this year. I think they have more star power than them finishing 9th. But there are too many holes for a team that doesn't have their first round pick this year. There's a lot of other good teams in this league, and luck can play a huge role in this too. So their floor is pretty low for a team that feels like they could contend. They better make a playoff push. This team should be consistent enough to do that. The running back room will help them. Jaden Daniels will help them do that. There are holes. There are holes. I would not be shocked to see this team kind of crash and burn. It wouldn't totally shock me. I do think the more likely option is them making the playoffs, though. I don't see this team as like a 14-win team, you know what I mean? Like, it either could go so wrong that they're going to finish with like 10, 11, 12 wins, or it'll just be like last year and they'll go get like 18, 19, 20 wins. So I'll say between like 12 and 18, but I don't think they're going to be in the middle of that. It's one or the other. That's how I see it. Then it's me. ESPN's got me 8th, and I really do not know what to think about that. The roster is so intriguing. I mean, I'm biased, of course, but every single person in the starting lineup, I feel like, is a question mark. We don't know what's going to happen with this team. There's so many potential outcomes. Like, let's go through this. Justin Herbert is your QB1. Is he a true QB1? That's not a massive question. We'll see if he's healthy enough and if his new celebrity girlfriend will help him out. Mixed results on that in previous examples. But we'll see what Justin Herbert can do. Christian McCaffrey, the biggest question mark in fantasy sports on a year-to-year basis. Can he stay healthy? Will Father Time start catching up to him? Because when he's been healthy, he's looked great. But how many injuries will be one too many? We just don't know when that's going to happen. Is Jalen Warren going to be the guy, or is Caleb Johnson going to be the guy in Pittsburgh? Guess what? I have both of them. Devontae Adams on a new team with the Rams. He's the wide receiver 2 behind Puka Nacua, but a huge volume passing offense over there. Is he going to be better than he was with the Jets, with the Raiders? Surely, right? But like, we'll see. He's getting old too. Jameson Williams, can you keep your head tied on straight for more than a month and maybe not get in trouble with the feds? And maybe potentially not take performance-enhancing drugs, and maybe potentially stay healthy? Like, there's just a lot of red flags with that guy, but he's so fast. He's so fast. When he stays on the field, he's good. So he's a question mark. Can he stay on the field? TJ Hawkinson, he's TJ Hawkinson. Awesome. Great. And coming off an ACL, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Caleb Williams, huge question mark. Is he going to take a leap, or is he a bum? I don't know. I think he's good, but we'll see. It's a question mark. Again, this entire team. Stephon Diggs coming off a torn ACL. Is he going to be decent with the Patriots? And then the biggest question of all, I think, with a couple of massive question marks on this team, the biggest one of all is Travis Hunter. Can he be the cheat code that individual defensive player scoring could make him? Will he keep cornerback eligibility through the entire season if he turns into basically a cheat code and plays more on offense than defense? How is Jacksonville going to use him? Is he going to have the stamina to do it? Is he going to actually get the ball? I mean, it's a lot of draft capital invested in him, but man, if he's good, and if some of these pieces hit, the Lakers could be a very intriguing team. If they don't, we're going to be picking 2nd overall again this year. So it's just so many ways the season could go. A lot of guys had career worst seasons last year for the Lakers, so I think we'll be better than last year's record of 7-21. I just don't know by how much. I think a 500 record may be asking for too much. Playoffs is asking for even more. I have my finger hovering over the trade button to start the season. We'll see how lucky we get to start, though. And I do think the good times for the Lakers are coming sooner than later. It just might not be to start the year as some of these rookies, new guys, figure out their new roles. And I mean, even the old guys too. Everyone's starting fresh, basically. So I could see a rough September turn into a really, really cool November, if that makes sense. So my projected wins for this team are between like 8 and 15. So like a 12-win average for the Lakers feels like it makes sense. I feel like. I don't know. Oh, hey. He's back. He had a lot of cameo time in this video.
You didn't talk shit yet?
Oh, I haven't gotten to you yet. No. You can talk shit on Hunter, though. You want to talk shit on Hunter?
Not really.
Okay. You respect the average Joes.
No, I don't respect him.
Oh, okay. Word. Let's keep it pushing and talk about the team that is probably the most successful in the 4-year history of this league. 3 straight finals appearances, but they're ranked 7th to start the year, and I do think it's kind of warranted for Hunter, Lewis, and Not Your Average Joes. They have 6 playoff wins to their history, 3rd most by any single team across the entire federation. It's a really nice run of excellence to start. After year 1, they missed the playoffs where they were under 500. But since they became Not Your Average Joes, they've made the finals in year 2, year 3, year 4. 1 championship to show for it. Back-to-back finals losses do leave a sting, but you got 3 years making more money than you pay into the league. I feel like that's pretty good for Hunter. And you have a championship to show for it, so you want more, but it's pretty good. This year, it's going to be tough out of the gate. Let's be honest here. Joe Burrow's your quarterback, which is always good, but the big hole is Joe Mixon, who is going to be out for at least the first month, potentially a lot more with a foot injury. And last year, he tore up the league to start the season. That's what kept Hunter right at the top of the Metro Division for basically the entire season. I mean, that guy was going nuts to start the year, but now he's out to start the year. Brings Chuba Hubbard up to the running back 1 slot, and Bill Krosky Merritt is your RB2. It's a lot to put into an undrafted, or a 7th round rookie, undrafted in the MFL, but a 7th round NFL rookie is going to be your RB2 to start the season. That is a lot of pressure to put on the guy. We'll see how he performs. The 2 wide receivers here, A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin getting the bag this offseason, shout out. Dalton Kincaid, your tight end. Tua is the super flex. And the 2 regular flexes, one of them's great, one of them's can pop. Lad McConkey, a great flex option. And then Jawan Jennings. We'll see where he goes, especially with Ayuk out. It'll be him and Ricky Pearsall over in San Francisco to start the year. So yeah, like I said, it's going to be tough out of the gate. Joe Mixon out for a month. Chris Godwin is also out to start the year. He had that nasty injury in about week 5 of last season. And he was also going crazy before the injury happened. His situation does seem a little bit better. He's out for at least the first couple weeks. Actually, no, he's out at least a month. But it seems like he'll come back. Mixon, they don't know. They're being very non-committal about it. I feel like another Tua injury is just inevitable. Like, it always happens, and I'm actually really scared to see what happens the next time he gets hit really hard in the head. So you do have to have a backup plan, I think, for when inevitably Tua misses time. Hunter's always making his team better throughout the season, so I'm not really worried about that. But the 3-time finalist definitely starting a step behind the other contenders. Not that it's Hunter's fault, just a lot of people are hurt. And when you start hurt, it's really, really hard to get going when everyone else is healthy. So at least week 1 will be pretty difficult for Hunter as he tries to get back to a 4th straight finals. They would really benefit from a little bit of luck in September, because I think by the time October rolls around, maybe mid-October, week 6-ish, this team should be hitting on close to all cylinders. We'll see how Mixon figures it out, but getting Chris Godwin back will be big. And I think by that time, if Hunter's not totally buried, he will be able to make a run. You know the average Joes are always great in November and December. They'll be back. They'll do it again. It's just a matter of will they have the firepower in September and get the right record in order to make it worth it for Hunter to push the all-in button once again. We'll see. I got the projected wins between 14 and 20. Because if he gets lucky, man, they could get super, super hot, a la the MCs last year. Having them finish under 500 feels sacrilegious. Like, I just don't think Hunter allows his team to finish under 500. There's enough pieces here to where I think their floor is super high. So it might be closer to the floor than the ceiling. Like, maybe like a 15 and 13 kind of vibe this year for the average Joes is what I would kind of predict out of the gate. But if they can get lucky, the sky's the limit. At least get lucky early. So those are the 6 teams that are not going to make the preseason playoff projection. Let's talk about the 6 that are projected to make the playoffs per ESPN. Little bit of a jump scare, but the sun is now behind the clouds. I can actually use my setup the way I want to have it in this house. All right. We're going to go to the top 6 teams. And at 6, it's a team that has never finished as high as 6th, ever. I would be very excited to see it. we root for this team in this house. It's the new Brunswick brain damage. Dylan Hilliker's team is looking like it has the best shot to make the playoffs and go on a run that it's ever had in the 5-year history of this league, at least in the preseason. There is life, there is hope here. The time is now, I do think. And we'll wait to see, but it seems like the pieces are here. So let's talk about the pieces. Jalen Hurts, always been an above-average quarterback, Super Bowl champion now, running his way to the QB1 slot for the brain damage. The running backs, he kept Derrick Henry at $144, which that's crazy roster construction, and that's just a wild price to actually keep someone at. But he was able to do it, so he did it. Good on him. Derrick Henry remains on the brain damage, and then his protege, Omarion Hampton, the Tar Heel, picked 3rd overall, looking like he's going to be a solid piece over in that Chargers backfield. Solid RB2 for Dylan. Hopefully, we'll see. But really, the thing that makes this team go is the wide receivers. Because now he runs 4 deep, basically, maybe even 5 deep with the way that this team has shaken out. Brian Thomas saved this team. The 2nd-round pick in the MFL is going to be this team's wide receiver 1 this year. And the wide receiver 2 is Drake London, who looked like he was having a breakout to end last year with Michael Penix instead of Kirk Cousins under center for the Falcons. Those guys, with their projections, could take this team to new heights for sure. The tight end is Hunter Henry, which is probably a below-average fantasy starter, but he's going to be better than Cole Kmet, probably. Another key piece to have the brain damage rise this year is Bryce Young, the number 3 overall pick in the MFL, I think a couple years ago. Did not look good to start his campaign in the NFL, but in the last 6 weeks of last year, it looked like he was getting his feet under him. Carolina improved their offensive line. They got him some weapons. People are talking like Carolina could be a sneaky team to pop a little bit, at least give you some sort of production. And if Bryce Young can be a serviceable QB2, that is just about all that Dylan needs to make this team go. Because the flexes are still great. These are guys that would start on just about any team in the starting wide receiver slots. Devontae Smith and Chris Olave if he has 2 brain cells to rub together. Now remember, this team also has Rome Odunze waiting in the wings, who is definitely a prime breakout candidate here in 2025. So the depth is totally here for the brain damage. There's 6 starter quality wide receivers with Khalil Shakir, who was great last year for Buffalo. Bryce Young is the X factor, I think. Omarion Hampton, definitely an X factor. Like the Lakers, a lot of question marks with new guys coming into this roster. There are questions. The team's never made the playoffs. I don't like to harp on that, but it is a fact of life that we have to state. Through 4 seasons, it feels like the brain damage always get hit with some bad performances early, some bad luck in the middle, and by the time we hit Thanksgiving, the season's kind of over. But one thing that also should give Dylan new life and new hope is that for the first time in the 5-year history of this league, Dylan will not open up his season with a Dystonia Bowl against Kevin Andrews and the Hermantown Hams, in which, in season openers, all against Kevin, Dylan's 0-4. So there is hope this year. He gets me week 1. It's brain damaged Lakers in a house bowl. So that is one thing that happens when we move the divisions around. We had to move some of the matchups. So the Dystonia Bowl later gives Dylan some life, potentially. We'll see. We'll see if that does anything. I think the brain damage are a sneaky team. We'll watch them this year. The projected wins, I think it could be as low as 12. I think the floor is higher than it has been in past years. The ceiling is probably about 19. 20 wins for the brain damage feels like a lot, because that's you're going 20-8 and then you're winning the division. I don't see them really winning the division. It's more like between 12 and 18 wins. So the midpoint 15-13, I feel like that's totally fair. They seem like a little bit better than average. That's where I would put the brain damage this year to start. In 5th, a team with maybe the highest floor. Some teams might have higher ceilings. I don't even know. This team is just solid. They have one Achilles heel, and hopefully it isn't. The St. Thomas Disciples. Isaac Schumacher, fresh off of completing the true and real Federation Slam, winning the WSHB title. So he's got 5 championships across the Federation, 1 in each league. Congratulations to Isaac Schumacher. Season 3, MFL champion with the Disciples, and a lot of that team is here to run it back. But one guy that will make his debut for this team, we all are rooting for, likely. Sparks brothers look away. J.J. McCarthy is QB1 for the St. Thomas Disciples. And that is the big question. Will J.J. McCarthy play like a top 12 quarterback this year? Maybe. Maybe. With Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and T.J. Hawkinson and all them running backs, like, maybe. He could. So, we're homers. I mean, obviously. But I do think McCarthy has a shot to be really good out of the gate. And that would just be amazing for this Disciples offense because the rest of it is just stone cold solid. Your running backs are Devon Achane and James Cook. 2/3 of the three-headed monster. Breece Hall I have in the flex slot this year. But that's not even the best part of this team. Oh my God, Justin Jefferson and Puka Nacua are your wide receivers. You just have 2 of the top 5 guys preseason. I mean, Jefferson's probably the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL. Puka Nacua is just a catch monster, PPR monster. This team will just be so consistent throughout the season if they can stay healthy. The tight end is newly engaged Travis Kelce, congratulations, and the super flex here is Russell Wilson. So the quarterbacks are the Achilles heel here, which the quarterbacks on average do score more points for your team than anyone else, so it's kind of a tough position to be weak at. But McCarthy and Wilson just feel like kind of guys that might not give you 40 at any time, but a consistent 15-20 with the rest of the roster that Shu has is going to be just fine for the Disciples to put some numbers up. Keenan Allen right now, the second flex, returning to the Los Angeles Chargers after 1 year in Chicago. Yeah, I don't think all of these guys are going to hit. I think the running back room has taken just a step back, even though they're the same guys. Like Breece Hall, just for some reason, the juice is not there in the preseason. Just off of people talking on TikTok, I guess, which is not real life, but I don't know. I'm going off of what I know. James Cook held out for a while. Like, I don't know. There's just not a lot of buzz around those two guys, as much as there was in previous years, I guess. They are all still the lead backs in their offenses, so I think the Disciples will be just fine, especially with Jefferson and Nacua, guys that can go and carry a roster by themselves. So the ceiling is still high, but the floor is super, super, super high. I don't think there is any way that this team finishes well under 500. I would be shocked if they finished even with 13 wins. I have the projected wins at 14-20, just because I don't see any team getting much above 20 wins. But man, that floor feels rock solid at 14. This team is going to be in the conversation for the playoffs. And if they go 14-14, I feel like they still make the playoffs. I have them penciled into my bracket, and I think the rest of you should too. The Disciples are super solid. They're super solid. At 4, what an interesting roster here for Kevin Andrews and the Season 1 champion, Hermantown Hams. The running back room is diabolical. It's ridiculous. And it's through no fault of Kevin's. It's really funny, actually, the more you think about it. You can either get mad about it or you can laugh, and I choose the latter. All right, the roster here, Josh Allen, easy pick in the startup draft, continues to just be a menace in Season 5. The running backs, at least the 2 that are projected to score the most points, are Saquon Barkley and Bucky Irving. Your wide receivers, DJ Moore and Cortland Sutton. The tight end, Dalton Schultz, who's probably 12 of 12 in terms of tight ends in the MFL, at least for starters. Your super flex, Drake May. Your flexes, Chase Brown and Alvin Kamara. The running back depth is insane. And let's talk about this. Kevin's got 4 of them, right? He's got Saquon, Kamara, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving. He's hit that Chase Brown and Bucky Irving are 3rd round auto draft best available selections. Kevin had no idea who they were. Just saying, oh yeah, I want the best available running back. Who's that? Chase Brown? Okay, cool. Oh, Bucky Irving? All right, cool. We all let this happen. We let this happen every single season, and every season the same thing happens. So, pencil in this year's 3rd round rando, tight end Terrence Ferguson as the steal of the draft. It actually works perfect because Kevin needs a tight end between Dalton Schultz, Cade Otton. there's a hole there, and Terrence Ferguson is just going to step up and fill that. We just know this now. It's ridiculous the way that this team continues to be lucky. But now it's been 4 seasons, or at least it's been 3 seasons since this team won a championship and even made the finals appearance. They've made the playoffs 3 out of 4 seasons, I believe. Last year they did get a playoff win. Yeah, they got a playoff win, but they didn't get past the semifinal. So for as much as we have talked historically about how lucky this team is, there hasn't been a lot of playoff success to show for it, even though he does keep getting insanely lucky. Like the fall off that we all thought was going to come at about this time has just not happened because these 3rd round running backs just keep popping up, I guess. I think the projection for them being 4th is just about right because the Achilles heel here is the wide receiver room. DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, they're not the best wide receiver tandem, but they'll do enough. They'll do enough to keep this team in the mix when the running backs don't work. But like Josh Allen and those 4 running backs, are you kidding me? Like they're going to be just fine. The only thing that can take this team down is injuries, specifically to those wide receivers. Because after that, I mean, you're looking at maybe, does he still have Jacoby Myers? I think he does. So it could be Jacoby Myers that fills in. But like, yeah, the wide receivers have to stay healthy. Drake May has to stay healthy. Josh Allen, of course, has to stay healthy for this to make sense. If it's another running back heavy year like it was last year, this team is the championship favorite. Like they just are. If the pendulum swings back to wide receivers, though, like we saw in 2023, they can still be a playoff team. They just won't have that top end projection that I don't know. We'll see how it goes. They're dangerous. They're just dangerous all around. The projection, again, is 14-20 for them. I do kind of see them like right in the middle. They're like a 16-17 win team. Yeah, that's how I see it. They will be a division contender, and they should be another penciled-in playoff team. Basically, all of these are penciled-in playoff teams from here on out. I'm going to take another breath. I'm going every 3 teams, basically. So we're going to talk about the top 3 in ESPN's projections. The top 3 in the projection of the MFL this year. Let's go to number 3. This team was high in the projection last year, and it didn't work out. But Lucas Janes and Bo Nur continues his tank experiment, basically, just adding Ashton Genty and Colston Loveland. The roster's even better. The roster's even better on paper this year. But fantasy football championships are not won on paper. They're won on the internet. Don't you forget it. Here's their roster this year. And it is, God, dude, it's loaded. It's loaded. It has to work. The quarterback is Bo Nix. The backups, the Superflex options, are CJ Stroud and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's here now, just for some reason. So, I mean, 3 solid options, only 2 slots, but 3 solid options. Your running backs, what are we doing, bro? Bijan Robinson and Ashton Genty. The wide receivers, what are we doing? Malik Neighbors and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Your flexes are Marvin Harrison Jr. and T. Higgins. Your tight end is Colston Loveland and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is your backup tight end. Yes, can't wait for Kyle Pitts. It's my attempt. Something's happening over there. I don't know. Might have been a grill scenario. Unsure. We continue. We're talking about Lucas's team. This team has only finished with a winning record in this league 1 time. And that just feels crazy. Just the way that I've thought about this team, the way I think we've talked about this team for a good 2-3 years now. They haven't won a single playoff game. There's a division title, but not a single playoff win. I struggle to see how this team won't be great this year. Just like the names that we just listed off. Like Rashee Rice and Jalen Waddle are on your bench. Like there's just not a spot for them in the preseason starting lineup. It's ridiculous. Now Rashee Rice, that kind of makes sense. He's been a bad boy and will serve a 6-game suspension because of it. But when he comes back, like there's just a lot of depth on this team. But what I do get worried about, and this was something that I thought about last year a little bit, it's a problem. It's a good problem to have, I guess, but it's still a problem. Who do you start? Lucas had by far the worst success rate in terms of like picking the correct players to start. He had the worst rate of, he had a max total. I don't know why I can't explain this. He had a max total. Everyone, oh my God. He had the lowest percentage of his max points scored total. And it was not even close. Now, there's a lot of ways to take that. You can either say, man, he's got to put the right guys in his lineup. Or it's just because he has so many good players on the roster that, yeah, a little bit of, like, you're not going to be perfect when you have so many high-quality guys. But I do think that cracking that code, or at least getting luckier in that avenue, is the key to having Lucas make the playoffs. So you just can't leave that many points on the bench. He's like getting 80% of his max when the league average is like 88. You got to get closer to that. I don't know how you do that, and I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason behind it. You just have to be better at it. It's not something you can practice. This isn't like real sports where you can go out and work on your craft. Like, you just have to go off vibes and see what happens. Hope for fewer injuries, you hope for better luck, and potentially there's a division title waiting at the end. We haven't seen it yet, but everything about this team screams contender. So, we'll see how it goes. My projected wins, God, on this paper, on this document, it says 14. Is the floor 14 wins for this team? Yeah, like if we're going to say the others floors are 14, then like, yeah, the talent on this team is on par with the Disciples or the Hams. Like, it's a more well-rounded team than those guys, I would say. Maybe they don't have like the Jefferson Nakuas or the Saquon, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving combo, but they are just, well, they have Bijan and Ashton Genty. Duh. Yeah, they're going to be fine. I do have their ceiling pretty high at 22 wins. Like, if there's ever a team to like break out and go nuts, it's gonna be this team. It's gonna be this one. So I think the floor is average and the ceiling is the roof. In second, based on ESPN, we're gonna talk about this team. We're gonna talk about these guys, man. A true fine Pilsner, not just fine anymore. Thanks to the Moose Bar and Grill for showing us that it is not just fine, but a true Pilsner. Amen. Ryan Beery in Chicago. Ryan Betchkevich still here? Still here? Maybe? I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while. BZ, hit me up. It's good. But they are back, rolling in as the number 2 team. I don't know if I trust that ranking, though. Nothing that they did. I just don't know if I trust it. And we'll talk about why. But let's go through the roster. Your QB1 is Dak Prescott. Your running backs are Jahmyr Gibbs and Tony Pollard. Wide receivers, Jamar Chase and Calvin Ridley. Tight end, number 1 tight end in the league last year, Brock Bowers. The super flex, Michael Penix, with Aaron Rodgers behind him as well. And your flex options are DeAndre Swift, Emeka Egbuka, Deebo Samuel also could come off the bench. And again, the vaunted Pilsner defense. One of the best in the league, always has been. Alex Singleton, TJ Watt, Foyesade, Oluwakan. It is not the same Pilsner we've seen in years past, but it might be just as fun. Old Pilsner is like what Lucas's team is now. They had just so many like top quality dudes, you just couldn't even keep up with it. New Pilsner took all that cumulative value and has kind of stashed it in 3 players that could be ranked as the top player at their position. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase, and Brock Bowers. So the high-end talent is so good, which I think is why ESPN puts Pilsner at second. But you have Gibbs and Chase and Bowers? That's ridiculous. And then Dak Prescott's going to be a solid fantasy guy. And then the second options are, like, fine. They're not great, because they're both Titans. Tony Pollard is your running back 2, word to DeAndre Swift. Calvin Ridley is your wide receiver 2, word to Emeka Egbuka. Michael Penix is QB2, word to Aaron Rodgers. So, like, there is depth, but not a whole ton of it. But the high-end talent is ridiculous. Like, Jamar Chase and Jahmyr Gibbs are 2 of the top 3 players in redraft leagues this year. And Brock Bowers is a first-round pick as a tight end. Like, he's nuts, dude. Like, there's a lot of really, really high-quality players here. So if they all stay healthy, this team is going to be a force again, as they have been for many months, many years in this season. But we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is injuries. Like, you've got all of this capital pushed into 3 dudes. If one of those guys get hurt, this team could stumble for a few weeks. If 2 of them get hurt, it's a problem. And if all 3 of them get hurt, God, I don't want to do that. But if all 3 of them are hurt, Pilsner's not going to make the playoffs if they all miss significant time. So the range of outcomes for this team is so crazy. Like, they could be far and away the number 1 team in the league. They could not even sniff the playoffs. Just depends on the health of those 3 guys and whether or not they make enough moves to make it work. So the projected wins, man, I could see them as low as 12. They could go 12-16 for sure, but they could also go 22-6, and I'd be like, yeah, fair. So Pilsner, still without a playoff win in 4 seasons, has another shot. They're gonna put their hat back in the ring. We're gonna see how it goes. And finally, the number 1 overall team in these power rankings. I think everyone can agree, the reigning champion, still number 1. All hail Brandin Cooks! ! Water. Crust, head, neck, skin, ligma. Elliott Newman, Matt Murphy, running the back, one another belt, and they are the favorites to get it done again this year. Take a look at the roster, tell you why. The quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, not world beaters, but very solid. The running backs, Jonathan Taylor, James Conner, not world beaters, very solid. Jonathan Taylor could be a world beater. The way that this team gets it done is this wide receiver duo, man, trio, really. CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins. 3 top 15 picks right there, and that's your wide receiver room. Your tight end, Sam Laporta, people are down on him. I think he's going to be just fine, especially on this roster. Your second flex is Tyrone Tracy. The options are endless off the bench. Rashid Shaheed, if you feel like it. Fuck it, why not? You want to start 2 tight ends? Cool. Elliott picked up Mark Andrews. Jared Goff or Kyler Murray gets hurt. Oh, you got Cam Ward. They both get hurt. Now you got Justin Fields too. Like, there's so many options. Fred Warner, Roquan Smith in the defense. Like, Andrew Van Ginkel is your defensive lineman who had a great season last year. They're still the champ. Like, they didn't miss a beat at all. They kept everyone. They got better. Like, there's high-end talent at each position. There's depth at each position. And they had just a crazy playoff run last year. This is going to be one of these seasons where, like, they didn't get the 1 seed, but they were ascendant throughout the entire year. This is the year where they start at 1 and they are just going to kick everyone's ass for an indeterminate amount of time. What happens, though, normally across the Federation, we've seen this, with teams that ascend to a championship and then earn the 1 seed, then they crash out in the playoffs. So, you'll see in my predictions, I'm not going to pick Water to win the championship. Not because they're not the best team. I'm going to tell you right now, they are the best team and they should be the favorite to win the championship. Just the way that this shit goes. Like, I think it's going to be somebody else. Just off of trends and being a sicko and watching this happen for a while. It's just the deepest roster. It's the best. They've got the best talent. They have the best depth. The only thing keeping this team from a top 4 seed is injuries. And I think even a couple of major injuries they can withstand. So, I mean, the floor is like 16 wins and the ceiling is like 23. I mean, you're not going to get a team that goes 28-0. Surely not, right? But I think they could touch the ceiling of what an MFL team can do over 14 weeks. Like, the maximum amount of wins you can get is 28. You're going to lose some. You're not going to finish in the top 6 every week. But I think 24 wins? Is that possible? Going 24-4? Sure. Yeah. And this team could be the one to do it. It's like 16-24. That's my call. That's every single team. It's another hour, because of course it was. We'll do predictions, and then I'll give you the week 1 previews, actually. I'll give you the week 1 matchups. And then, then it's off to the newsletter for another season. Let's go.
I forgot to record
my week 1 picks. So here I am at the end of editing with Lucas. Chiefs Chargers in pregame. They're playing the Brazil national anthem. Brain damage Lakers. It is brain damage by 8. We also are recording this on Friday, so we know what the Eagles and the Cowboys did. So it would be brain damage -8. You got a pick on that?
I'm gonna just take brain damage money line.
That's fair. I think I'd do the same thing too, especially now that Christian McCaffrey's fucking calf is doing its fucking bullshit again.
Isaac Urando to the moon.
Word. Next up, football team Golden Shawers. It's Graham by 11. Graham by 12, actually.
I'm gonna pick the football team to cover.
Damn. I won't do that. I'm going to pick the Shawers to cover. We'll see. They do have... okay, he did start Mahomes, finally. Next up. We got 4 good ones here. Gentleman's Classic. Gentleman's Classic something. It's like 20 almost between you and Rob.
Yeah.
The line, no one played in the Eagles-Cowboys game, so it's you by 14.
What's the line for tying? I'll take that.
That's like plus 6,000.
I'll take it.
Bad. I'll take Lucas money line just because I have to do something besides a tie. Fun little outstate division matchup here. The 2 teams that went over there, Pilsner Disciples, and the line is Pilsner by 11.
Again, I'm gonna take the underdog to cover. I'm gonna take the
Disciples
to cover.
Disciples plus 11. I like that too.
Yeah.
I'm on that too. Yeah. I would also sprinkle both teams top 6 on that. I think they're both good. Let's see. Censored Bowl 14 or 15. I don't fucking know. It is Hunter Kev to open the season. That's fucking electric. Semifinal rematch. And the line is Kev by 10. The line is Kev by 10 with no Joe Mixon for Hunter.
Oh, is that why?
I think so. It's Bill Merritt as his RB2, who is now listed as the RB4 in Washington. He's projected 10 points.
Yeah, I'm gonna take hands money line.
Hunter's won like 4 straight of these. Saquon's got 18 points. I shouldn't be using that. Hunter to cover. Hunter plus 10. And the game of the week. The game of the week is Cinderella Bowl 22. The Lea Admirals. And all hail Brandin Cooks Water. He's raising the banner at his home stadium to start the season. He's the only, Elliott and Matt, the only team projected above 200. They were projected 202 to the Admirals 188. So that would make it Water plus 14 or Water minus 14.
Well, we know George Pickens only scored 6 points.
Yeah, we do. But CeeDee Lamb could have had fucking 35 and he had 23.
Yeah. And again, I'm going to take Gavin to cover. I bet Cooper Kupp might score a touchdown and Tyreek Hill might get 100 yards.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Ted. Ted's pick of the week. He likes what Lucas did. Ted's pick of the week is Admirals to cover. So I guess I got to do the same, right? We're all in agreement. Ted. Good. All right. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Now it's an hour 10 instead of an hour 5. Fuck! All right. We're in the new house. We got him here. I've been doing predictions.
Oh,
I'm doing predictions. Yeah. So I have it up on the screen. Dylan can see it. Y'all can't. I'll just tell you. Water's gonna get the 1. They're gonna win outstate. Metro, Bo Nur is going to show the ceiling that they have, but Kev's going to win Metro. Wild cards, I have Lucas, Shu, Gavin, and him. Then I have, well, I guess, yeah. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think anything?
I'm gonna win it all.
You're going to lose in the wild card round to Lucas.
Yeah, probably.
So I got Lucas beating Dylan in the 3-6. I have Shu beating Gavin in the 4-5. So then the semifinal is Lucas versus Kev and Shu versus Elliot. I have Kev beating Lucas because the 2 seed has to... Well, no, it's a 2 seed winning. What the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, it's a different 2 seed now. Whatever. Yeah, I just think Kev beats Lucas because the vibes are that way. I don't know. And then I have Shu beating Elliot because whoever plays Elliot is going to beat him because the vibes are that way. So it's Kevin versus Shu for the championship. Who wins the belt? You decide. All right, I'll see y'all in the email verse starting on Monday or Tuesday. You can come watch football Sunday?
Come watch football.
Come watch football on Sunday. This should be out by Thursday. So, yeah, come watch football on Sunday. The house is ready. Don't come watch football. We will not be here. We will be playing baseball. Maybe show up for the late window. I don't care, but don't show up at noon. And I'll see you here, and I'll see you in the computer on Tuesday. All right, set your lineup. Stay healthy. I'm gonna go drink a beer. Bye.
Wake your punk ass up. It ain't nothing but a Compton thing. Chill. Real simple and plain. We teach you some lessons about the street.